guys, and welcome back to Shit Talking Lavier. I mean, Eden. Anyways, let's just jump right back in. She probably wasn't suited to be a commander, although she had made it all the way to a warrant officer, so she was probably still quite capable. I sighed and reached for the bag I had left on the floor. This place is quite a different environment. It looks like days far different from the military life I've grown accustomed to await me. As the premonition whirled around my heart, a sinking anxiety began to fester in the back of my mind. Did you know? This planet is coming to an end. Oh, it's so pretty. An end? I inquired as I faced the back of the girl loitering in front of me. For a long, long time now, it was something everyone knew since around the time great-grandfather was born. Great-grandfather? I cocked my head. I didn't even know my grandfather's face, let alone my great-grandfather's. Yes, people knew an end to this planet was drawing near long, long before you were born. What will happen once the planet ends? The people, animals, flowers, trees, all of them will die. Does that mean we will as well? I didn't want that. Mom and Dad had already passed on. We were all alone. I wanted to live here with my sister forever. I didn't want to die. There's nothing to be afraid of. Yes, everyone will die. But it is all right. You won't die. But isn't the planet ending? Listen, I'm going to tell you something important. Something very, very important. She didn't turn around. She just kept looking far into the distance, but merely gazing at her bag made me feel so safe. People can fight against fate. Humans are creatures which can keep on living even if they commit a crime or end up running away. An end will invariably come to everything, no matter what it is. However, I believe people are capable of delaying that conclusion for an eternity. I don't really get it. That might have been a little hard for you, sorry. We're going to live, right? You will live. She looked up at the night sky and pointed towards the conspicuous red star. One world's end is another world's beginning. All mankind has set its eyes on the next planet and is beginning its journey. Will we go to another planet too? She paused briefly as the wind from the mountains swept over her. It was a silence that lasted for but a moment. She began to walk slowly, the grass crunching beneath her feet. Sis, I want to see the end of this world right here with my own eyes. What a nostalgic dream. My heart was beating faster than I expected. I was surprised that such a wistful memory could affect me like this. I couldn't believe I remembered her. I had forgotten her face, but that gentle voice and the words she left with me still resonated in my heart. I still remember how I was always gazing up in awe at her from behind. I lifted myself from the bed and aimlessly stared at the still, unfamiliar wall. It certainly seems like I'll survive if everything keeps going like this, sis. The planet would soon meet its end. It was a given. Something everyone knew. It was predicted by scientists over 100 years ago, and mankind steadily made arrangements to escape the fated extinction. The Earth Evacuation Project. Sorry, guys. That was the name of the Noah's Ark, which would save humanity. Mankind sought to construct giant spaceships, for the sole purpose of taking everyone off the planet, away from this dying Earth, and to carve out an existence among the stars. When the plan was first drafted, politicians, the masses, they all saw it as nothing more than a fantasy. But humanity executed that exceedingly lengthy plan, and although there were hiccups along the way, the idea of escaping Earth steadily became a reality. At present, the majority of the human race had already left the planet and was sailing into the ocean of stars. Like my sister had once said, though the planet would end, the history of mankind would likely continue on. Even if not everyone wishes for it. I muttered and stood up. It may have been because of that dream, but it seemed I was sweating a little. Luckily, this private room had an attached bath and toilet. I had some time before I had to be ready. I guess I'll take a shower. Oh, so you did get up. As expected, it was Warrant Officer Lavinia, FSI, who came to get me. Were you able to sleep well? I'm not picky as to where I sleep. However, I could have gotten a few more hours if you had let me leave earlier. It was no laughing matter. Lavier dragged me into the normally off-limits female quarters yesterday. 7 or 8 other female soldiers gathered into her tiny room and screwed around until late into the night. Simply put, I had never experienced anything more uncomfortable. Okay then, let's get down to business. I heard my mission was to defend. Are we to be sentries? No way! That's not a job for a warrant officer. We're going to buddy up. By that, you mean guarding Sion? Of course! What, you already knew? It was nothing to be surprised about. Guarding VIPs wasn't particularly unusual even in GAT. I had no experience acting as a guard to anyone as important as Sion, but it probably wouldn't be that different in practice. Then, shall we go? Our princess awaits! Oh, there's the maid! Pardon the intrusion! Lavier opens the door and yells in a booming voice. I followed after her and entered the room. Ah, good morning, Lavier. Ro? Morning, Miss Alicia. Nice and matey again today, huh? Nice and immaculate. What was with their greeting? Oh? Ro, are you in a bad mood this morning? Not particularly. I shook my head gently. Then you must be sure to give a proper greeting. Promise your big sister that you'll do that from now on. Yeah, morning. Of course, I'd usually give a normal greeting. I just wasn't sure how to deal with someone as unusual as Alicia. Yes, good morning. I didn't know what in the world she was so happy about, but Alicia was smiling sweetly. Will you be a guard for us from now on, Ro? It looks like it. You're Sion's aide, correct? I am her exclusive maid. I see. Was it a particular request from Sion that she serves as something, as antiquated as a maid? I don't know how to say that. So, where's the lady of the house? Sion's work area and bedroom is just beyond that door. I noticed there was one door aside from the entrance we came through. But her expression suddenly dimmed. Entry into that room is expressly prohibited. What? I'm sorry, but Major Inaba and I are the only ones who may enter her work area. Are you telling us to guard her without allowing us to check the room or even meet her? Sion does not like appearing before others. I think it is very unlikely she would come out on her own. I gave Lavier a fleeting glance. simply gave a small nod of approval, as though she'd accepted it. I suppose I don't mind. If the person we're guarding is going to stay put, then it'll be easy on us as well. I really am sorry, Ro. Sion has a bit of a selfish side. Alicia's cheerful expression returned quickly yet again, and she gave a small bow. By the way, I haven't met her yet either. That being the case, we just have to keep watch in front of this door. This certainly does sound like an easy job, just as you said. I have no reason to lie. To tell the truth, I was a bit irked that the person I was guarding wouldn't even introduce herself. But a soldier's job was to obey. By the way, we'll be working 3 shifts when guarding her. As a rule, each shift consists of 2 guards. Just 2? Why so few? I would hope for at least 5 people to deal with any unforeseeable situations. That would be another selfish request of hers. She said she did not want any more guards than necessary. Well, that certainly is selfish. She's like a princess. She is a princess. Wait, no, she is a princess. Huh? In this place, she's the princess and we're her royal guard, so to speak. She's a bit lacking in class, though. You could also call her our savior, but there is the matter of her appearance. So, princess is fitting, don't you think? I see. If it were Sion, then a little selfishness would naturally be permitted. The Earth Evacuation Project. She was none other than the mastermind behind the project which saved humanity from destruction. As easy as the work was, it was also tedious. As long as Sion stayed secluded in her room, there was no need for us to move around. All I could do was bring a laptop and read the data on the building I had received yesterday. To make matters worse, my partner seemed quite sleepy and had shown up to her shift exhausted. What? Got a problem with something? Belligerent to boot. Not really, there's just nothing to do. Are you done reading the data already? This place is pretty big. You probably can't get a good grasp of the layout just from those rough maps. No, I have the general idea. You sure? She stared at me blankly. I've had to storm so many buildings in training and combat that it's sickening. Sorry, I bit my tongue. All that was left was to physically walk around and find any blind spots in security and confirm the escape routes. It would be best to obtain as much information as possible. Come to think of it, you used to be in the Special Forces, right? Forgetful people don't get promoted. I don't have any particular desire to work my way up the ladder, so I don't care. That isn't very persuasive coming from someone who is a warrant officer at your age. It wasn't like I planned to get promoted. I just became a warrant officer before I knew it. I'll pretend I didn't notice the sarcasm. Aren't you the same age and rank as me? Labier wore an antagonistic smile. Aww, I love how they described that. Sorry, I am at a loss for words today. Come to think of it, what was this woman's backstory? She probably didn't go to the military academy. Did she work her way up from private like I did? Alternatively, she might have pursued a specialization at a technical school. At any rate, if she made it all the way to a warrant officer. Oh, what are you brooding over? It's boring. There's nothing else to do but think. There was no point in thinking too much about her personal history, was there? It would be rude to delve into my coworker's past for no reason. At the very least, she had to be competent enough to have been assigned as Sion's guard. Are you really that bored? You're not? Just sitting around in a place like this? Not at all. Why? Because it's Sion. I could hear the enthusiasm in her voice. A tinge of red was visible in her cheeks, and her eyes glittered like those of a daydreaming little girl. That door is the only thing separating us from Sion. Isn't that kind of amazing? Well, it's certainly not ordinary. The name Sion was special to every human living in this era, not just Lavier. About 100 years ago, an unfamiliar red star appeared in the sky, and around the same time, a solitary scientist announced that this planet would be destroyed by a massive, unavoidable disaster in 100 years. The end of the world. At first, everyone scoffed and treated it like an unfounded delusion. But before long, scientists around the world verified it to be the truth. The horrible news came at a time when international relations were already tense from food and resource disputes. The added desperation from a world-ending disaster was enough to trigger a world war. Nobody knows who fired the first missile. The populace, thirsty for blood, had long since forgotten the details. Vengeance gave birth to more malice, and kept the fires of the Bog War burning for a long, long time. When mankind awoke from its collective insanity, half of the global population was dead and buried. Mankind had almost annihilated itself ahead of schedule. At the end of the Great War, all of the countries of the world merged into the unified government, and one magnificent endeavor was launched. The World Evacuation Project, and the one who was created to be a guide for that plan was the Supreme Felix, Sion. She's a genius among geniuses. I can't imagine actually being in a position where I have an opportunity to see her with my own eyes. You're quite a dreamer when something's on your mind. Well, even I was a little girl at some point. You two sound like you're having a lot of fun. We looked up at the same time. Alicia was standing there holding a silver tray. Would you like to take a short break and have some tea? Also, guys, if you've noticed that I have been changing voices for these two, it's because the more that I get to know their characters, the more that I'm developing their voices to sound more of their personalities. It felt like we had been taking a break the whole time, but I kept that to myself, and we decided to take her up on her offer. I was sadly ignorant and could not discern the blend of tea, but with a single sip, I could tell that her black tea was delicious. The tea you make is wonderful as always. It always melts straight to your core. And I want to take this. Yeah, this is cute. How kind of you. I silently sipped my tea as I listened to the conversation between the two girls. Surprisingly enough, it appeared Alicia was quite capable as a maid, not just in form, but function as well. If you are pleased with this tea, I can make it for you anytime. Consider it an on-the-job service call. It must be the fault of my unrefined military upbringing, but hearing the words on-the-job service call from a maid's mouth felt obscene. I'm so glad I got assigned to this unit. You seemed kind of displeased just sitting there earlier, so how about now? The tea is delicious, but it doesn't detract from the boredom. Oh? Did you join the military to stave off boredom? Or something like that. By the way, you two seem to have been talking about Sion earlier. Alicia certainly did things her own way. Who wouldn't be curious in this situation? We're so close. It feels like she might be able to hear us. Sion is currently working, so she would not so much as hear a gunshot right now. Her ability to concentrate is extraordinary. That's dangerous. What she said startled me. Even if she had an impregnable guard, she still needed to be able to rely on herself. It would be problematic for her guards as well, if she were so unaware of the world around her.
It is dangerous, but it is not a habit you can fix by saying something. She is completely reliant on all of her guards.
Understood.
So you two know of her, right?
There's no way I couldn't. Though it's not like I know the details.
Same here. We know she's a genius scientist, the developer of the colony ships, humanity's guide to the stars, and that she has higher approval ratings than the current Diet chairman. Those sorts of things. Oh, and that she's a Felix. Yes, that's right. Sion is the most excellent Felix. Or rather, she is the most intelligent being in the world.
A Felix, huh?
Felix, a new breed of human with high intelligence and a body of perpetual youth and longevity by way of genetic modification. We were practically Neanderthals by comparison. It would be no exaggeration to say they were miraculous beings. You know about Felixes, don't you? There's nobody that doesn't know about them.
I only know what was officially announced, though.
By the way, the term Felix was coined by the sci-fi author Mr. Heinlein. I don't know. Heinlein? It was taken from a character in a novel themed around genetic manipulation. It was a sci-fi novel enthusiast that created Felixes. Wow, I didn't know that. It never occurred to me to look it up.
It's because their uniqueness is more intriguing than their origins. It was the Felixes who created the third generation of colony ships that took the Earth evacuation project into the execution phase. It seemed that these artificially created geniuses greatly accelerated scientific and technological development with their superior abilities. And standing at the top of the Felixes was the one who led the evacuation project, Sion. She was a young woman whose appearance took beauty to an extreme. Her grace and elegance stood far above that of anyone else. Even among Felixes, her intellect stood out. But this is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, despite all of my mess-ups, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!